Hey guys, so I'm back looking at the wiring harness again here, and I think I figured out why I'm confused by the neutral safety switch here, because I don't think it actually is doing what I think it does. Because it, once I really looked at the wiring diagram, I was really confused because one of the wires coming back off of here is a green wire. Okay, big deal. I traced it back and it comes back out to this harness here. I said, okay, where's that going? So I trace it out. Well, it goes into the taillight harness. Why the hell is something from the neutral safety switch going to the taillight harness? And I actually traced it out twice to make sure that it was right. And it was. I said, okay, what bulb is being illuminated by the green wire in the taillight harness? Well, the reverse light. I said, oh, so this isn't a neutral safety switch. This is just a switch to, first of all, this lug goes to that solenoid to turn it on and off. Like you only want that solenoid that locks the gear shift on if it's in park, and so that doesn't matter. And this is just a physical switch for turning on the reverse lights. So it was kind of explained a lot. Put it that way, just kind of explained a lot at that point. There still leaves a very important question, which is what stops somebody from turning the engine over in reverse, park, drive, well, reverse drive, low, whatever you want to say. And the only thing I've come up with right now is that there's something further down the line in the main harness that is doing the same function. Because there clearly isn't anything in the cab, because I rang that out. Straight from the ignition switch to the firewall, that wire is uninterrupted. So the only thing I can figure is that the computer is locking something out at closer down to the solenoid based upon information it's getting from the transmission, because it's an electronic transmission. The transmission knows what gear it's in, whether it's in park, reverse, neutral or drive. And that might explain something a little better. We'll see. At this point, I'm going to strip this stuff out of the harness, feeling pretty confident that it doesn't matter. And at that point, I just have to, for this switch, which is the one that will correctly mount on the column, I'll just set this one up, because it does have some adjustability in it, and I'll set it up such that this one, which it really is a neutral safety switch, set it up such that when it's in reverse, it'll make or break, or it'll make one of these sets of contacts, and that should be good enough to set up the reverse lights. And at that point, I don't have to worry anymore. It seems logical just to use this terminal, but I'll have to see at what point in time these ones are on, and then accordingly dialing this side to side to set the point where it would actually be in reverse. Anyways, that was a lot of hassle, a couple of days worth of figuring out on that one. Understandably, some of this stuff, wiring stuff, you can see why it can be pretty frustrating. Anyways, so that resolves, getting rid of that. For all the work it was, I would have been better off just to have forgotten about it and taped it into the harness. But at least I've determined that much. Brake switch. Still not 100% sure what to do with this guy. Obviously I can't use this one, and I don't know if I saved enough of the old pedal box to be able to see how that was supposed to have been operated by this. Like I could always fab up a bracket that I could mount this one, but I just need some way to know, that, how this worked. Was this always depressed? Or was it uncompressed like it is now, and there's a cam on the brake pedal that operated it? So that's really hard to say. That would be the easiest way to go, then I don't have to really do too much modification here. Not that it sounds that easy. Anyways, I'll get back to it. Yeah, and something I mentioned yesterday, and I'll just elaborate a little further on it, was the 95 had an additional wire broken out for a couple of supplementary items there. One of which, or a couple of which, were the was the heater in that. And I said I wasn't too worried if that was powered all the time, because there are times when you just want to put it into accessory, and it would be nice to run the fan. But it occurs to me that there are probably a couple of other things that may be powered with that wire that I don't want powered. And a good example of that would be, well, if I decide to use them, the daytime running lights. I suspect that those are probably powered off of that circuit. I have to confirm it, but I really suspect it is. As a matter of fact, I'm almost 100% sure, because I can see the one fuse right there on the left or right is connected to an orange wire, which is what the i3 lead was, and that happens to be the fuse for the daytime running lights. So that would be something that you wouldn't want powered in that case. So I may work out something, where I do use a relay that will basically work in such a way that if the ignition is on and accessory is on, then the orange wire will be on. But if only the accessory is on, or if only the ignition is on, like when you're turning it over to start, those are, it wouldn't collect that relay on. So I'll work that one out in a little bit here, but yeah, boy, it really is you really have to there's no delaying any of this stuff. You kind of have to work on it all at the same time. Anyways, I think what I'm going to have to do with this harness when I rewrap it here is I think I'm going to literally have to install everything into the dash, and then I can set my lengths or where I want things to come out of the harness in order to so I can wrap it and leave myself enough length to connect things up. Kind of a bit of a hassle, but I can live with it. A good example would be the light harness. In the van it sat pretty low, but here it's got to sit pretty high. Oh boy, lots of fun, eh? Anyways, back to it again. Okay, so since I'm at a stage where there really wasn't a lot to edit out of this section of the harness, there's some wires I'm going to have to extend, like the ignition wires I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to extend, and the high beam, low beam switch I'm going to have to extend the wires in that, but otherwise it shouldn't be too big a deal. So what I was doing was I made a little cardboard template, which is the outline of the footprint of this thing, at least where it's got to butt up against the firewall here. I've been doing a little bit of checking, and a little bit of interference there. I'm going to have to open up the hole a bit. Obviously, the old one wasn't that big. I think from the point of view of the unit, I think actually that would be the way it would be. It's like that. You can see that one of the edges is actually butting up against that crease in the firewall there. But the good news is, right in the middle of it is where the bolt is, and I think the bolt hole is fine there. And it gives me good clearance to the parking brake. So I'm going to open up this hole a bit and trial mount my fuse panel. Now I know I should have done that before I ever went and painted this thing, but what's done is done. I'm going to work with it the way it is. So we'll see how we go. Okay, that doesn't look like a mess. Opened up the firewall. Got to clean up the edges a bit and coat them with a little bit of primer there so they don't rust. But nevertheless, got that in. I got to figure out how to bolt it to the firewall. There's some little inserts in here, and there's turning, so they're not going to work anymore. So I'll have to figure out something else to do. Right now I'm thinking about a through bolt all the way through, but we'll see how we go here. It'll be a pretty long one, but we will see how we go. Okay, so I have to clean up this hole, and yeah, it doesn't look very square, does it? But apart from that, I'm gonna knock off for the night, and see you guys tomorrow.